What's better than playing one note at the right time? Two notes at the right time, of course. Our ears perk up when we hear harmony. And on guitar, we call these double stops or dyads when you play two notes at once. There are a variety of ways that you can do this well in pretty much any style of music. Let's take a look at some of them. The easiest way to get started with dyads is to take the pentatonic scale that you know and love. Box 1, we'll do the E minor box up here. You remember that's just right here. And just play two notes at once. This box is easy to do that in because you can just bar that whole 12th fret. And then you just got to think, okay, I'm playing two strings at once and in both places here. And so it would look something like this. And you can either pick both strings at once, or you can do some hybrid picking where you use your middle finger and the pick, or you can use just your fingers, use your thumb and index finger. Now, doing a whole scale that way is possible, and you can learn all 5 boxes that way. And here's the A minor pentatonic, all boxes in dyads or double stops. And that's possible, and it could be useful, but I'm a fan of practicing anything that you do in a musical context. And in a musical context, you don't often play an entire scale. You use it to get somewhere. You use it to build some excitement. You can do some speed runs that way, but you're building towards something. You're not just playing the scale for the sake of playing the scale. So the first example I want to give you, this works well in like a neo soul or lo-fi vibe where you're trying to do some quick build up to a note that you're going to hold for a while. And so instead of starting at the bottom of the scale, you start on the A string and you see I can do some double stops even with that lick. I have a single string melody that I have, but if I have that melody in my head, that's a single string. If I add the double stops, you see I can bar that whole 12th fret and still play that same melody, but just hit some other strings along with it. I'm barring that, I'm hitting 2 strings at once. It adds a little harmony. It gives it that Hendrixy kind of feel. And that's a lot of what Hendrix would do, is move around in those pentatonic boxes, but when he's playing his melody, he's hitting some harmony on the other strings within that pentatonic shape. So that's one thing you can do, and you can really be creative in how you move around between the boxes too. And you see there, I was going from box 1 to box 2 to box 5, and just and see, it really works well if you end on something cool. And there, that's a really easy thing to do on those bottom 2 strings. And let's take a look. If you take your pentatonic boxes, you can really do that same shape, just 2 notes stacked on top of each other. You can do that all across the fretboard, and it's pretty easy to figure out where to go. All right, so this is your G major pentatonic boxes, but we're just going to play the high 2 strings here. And if you start right here, then you just go up 2 frets, and then you have this. The only time it's different is right here. They're not stacked. You got 7 on the first string and 8 on the second string. So they're stacked on 3, 5, And then 7 and 8 is not stacked, but then it's stacked again the rest of the way. 10, 12, and then it starts over at 15, and you can keep going. And you can really get used to that shape and move it around on those 2 high strings there. Another thing you can do, if you learn those 2 high strings, then you can mix and match between the double stops on those 2 strings and your different boxes. So this would be working your way up and landed on box 1. Here's another fun one you can do in your E minor pentatonic box, and this one works well in kind of a rock style and kind of a cliche look, but it's definitely fun. It's a good way to work on your bends as well. So even though you're playing 3 notes, 2 of them are the same. So you want to bar the high 2 strings on the 12th fret, and then with your ring finger on the 14th fret of the 3rd string, you want to bend that till it matches the pitch of the B string, and then you play the B and the E string together. And you can end with bending the 15th up there. And if you want to add the 12th fret and the 15th at the same time, that gives you a little bit of a chorus effect. You're hitting 2 the same note, but they're just a little bit off pitch. It adds some character, some color. You can add some vibrato in there. So that's a fun one you can do. If you want to work on your major scale, a fun one to do in an open E shape is to start. You don't need a pick for this one. Take your thumb and index finger on the middle 2 strings, and then the next 2 fingers on the bottom 2, and you're alternating between those. So and you can move around within those shapes as well. And this is based on your harmonized major scale. So we're going just up the scale, starting on the 2nd fret on the 4th string, and that's an E, and we're just working our way up the scale, but we're harmonizing it. You could even do triads this way and do the whole chords, but really this is thirds. So from E to G sharp is a third, and if you look at the chords in the entire diatonic chord progression, so all the chords that would fall in that key, if you do thirds, it's a major third, a minor third, minor third, major third, major third, minor third, minor third, major third. And those go with the chords that are there. So like E, do F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A, B, C sharp minor, D sharp diminished, and then you're back to E, and that gives you that pattern of major third, minor third, minor third, major third, major third, minor third, minor third, major third, and it kind of has a fun sound. And that works on really any 2 strings, at least as far as the bottom 2, the middle 2, the top 2. So you could start on G, do the same thing. And you're harmonizing your major scale, you're playing double stops. You could do on C. Start here. It works there. The only place it doesn't work would be on the B and the G string, just because there's a difference in how those 2 are tuned together. But let's see, you could do D right here. Well, and that would be a fun one to use. Think about some songs with double stops. They use things like that. That was one that works on the G and the B string. But it works in other places as well. So that's a fun one. Let's look at some blues context. All right, so in blues, you can play, we've been playing thirds. We just did major scale with thirds. You can also use sixths for your double stops, and that's really just a different way of looking at a third. If you look at a sixth, the top note in relation to the bottom note, if you look at the octave, they're really a third apart as well. So it's just a different stacking of them. But on guitar, especially in the blues, you get the sixth that there's a string in the middle. And so, like if you're playing something with an A7 or especially a D7, you can do this thing where on the 7th fret, you're stacking the first string, skip a string, and go to the third string, and you can slide into it, and you get some chromatic movement there, and that's a fun one. You can also do that same thing down here. That kind of resolves from an A to a D7. Now, I've been playing both of those at the same time as kind of a double stop. You can break up the double stop and get kind of a cool effect. I'm still playing double stops, but I'm not playing them at the same time, so it's the same shape. And that's a good way to transition from an A7 to a D7 in the blues. Double stops work really well in that transition space. So let's say you're going from A7 to E7 toward the end of your 12-bar blues. You can that two middle strings there, 14 and 13, slide down to 12 and 11. That's a fun one. Gives kind of a cool sound there. Another thing you can do is triplets with these double stops. And that one, the rhythm's kind of tricky. But still, it's those sixth double stops. Here are a few other blues ways you can use double stops. Land on a G, can do the same shape. Kind of land on a C. Here's a few more of those Hendrixy sounding ones. You can do some stabs on it and slide off. There's a lot going on there. I'm just barring the 10th fret and hammering on to the 12th fret on the B string and then sliding off. And that gives a cool effect. And then I'm staying within that pentatonic box and doing some hammer-ons and pull-offs. So I hope this helps you get started with double stops and some fun ideas that you can use all across the fretboard to really give you some character and some color to your solos, so you're not just playing one note at a time, and our ears really perk up when they hear that harmony. So thanks for watching. Have fun. Keep playing.